As someone who's born Muslim, one of my favorite things to do is listen to people who are non-Muslim discover Islam for the first time. Not only because I'm happy for them, but also because it gives me insight into things that I've never thought of. It's a different look into things that I took for granted for the longest time. For example, listen to Megan Rice talk about her feelings when she first tried out a hijab.
So my undercaps and hijabs came in today, and I was just trying them on. So don't say nothing, because I'm trying. Because I was invited to the National Muslim Women's Conference tomorrow that I'll be going to here in Chicago. And this is something that I wasn't expecting in wearing a hijab. My autism is loving this. It's loving this. I feel so safe and sound. I feel safe and sound. I think that I would look for something similar even if I wasn't a part of Islam. I feel swaddled. This feels fantastic. It feels fantastic. I love it.
First of all, when she says my autism, this girl doesn't have autism. She was already famous on TikTok. She's very well spoken. She's funny. She's outgoing. She's an extrovert. That's like the exact opposite of being autistic. We are not looking at Greta Thunberg there, but she's simply echoing what thousands of new Muslim women say every day when they put on a hijab. It feels natural. It feels protective. It feels modest and safe. Women weren't created to be stared at by every man when they walk down the street. That's not their nature. Their nature is to be protected that way. That's why when a woman covers up, it feels right. Yes, some women get a thrill out of the male gaze. That's why some Muslim women take off their hijab, because they want to satisfy this haram desire, the same way men stare at women and feel this fleeting lust. But when they lower their gaze, they feel more at peace. Islam goes hand in hand with the human nature because it's the software that was created by the same creator of the hardware.
No matter who you are or where you're born, all roads lead to Islam. And the only reason why more people aren't Muslim today is because they don't understand it. And I'm not surprised whatsoever that the Quran ended up being the last thing I researched. So living in America, we were taught since 9/11 that Muslims are crazy and evil, which is not the truth whatsoever. That without knowing that I took my Shahada, 95% of the community was still supportive. Now, it doesn't really matter what you were taught growing up. You could be Christian, you could be Jewish, you could be Mormon. It doesn't really matter. You could even be atheist. But if you continue searching for education, eventually you're going to find the Quran. Now, I still recommend to everybody out there that everybody should be researching every single religion. If you are not sure, go study more. And I promise, once you look at every belief system, Islam is the obvious truth.
Very important point. Islam is not afraid to be compared to anything because it has all the right answers. The number one reason people leave Christianity is that they go to their local church and they ask questions, and the answer that they get is, you can't ask that. So they just leave. If I'm not allowed to ask the question, then I'm out of here. In Islam, not only that you are allowed to ask the questions, you are encouraged to do so. Because the truth is not afraid of lies. You can't disprove the truth with lies. Any question about anything that has to do with Islam will eventually lead you to Islam. The more you dig, the more sense it makes. As opposed to other religions, the more questions you ask, the less sense everything makes. By the way, if you are a non-Muslim and you have any questions about Islam, please go to chatanddecide.com and ask us anything.
Now, people like me, I'm extremely cynical, I'm extremely judgmental, and I don't like to just take things for face value. I have to see things firsthand to believe it. Now, although that may be my downfall, and that is an issue I have to address, but it made me look at every single walk of life so I can choose the correct one. And whenever you get to the Quran, it's a very interesting situation that happens. You will start to read this ancient book, these ancient words, and it will feel as if almost you already know this information. You already know the text that's inside of it.
You feel like you already know it because it's your nature. That's how God created you. And unless you are heavily propagandized, you will find no difficulty in accepting Islam. Zero. You'll feel like it's the natural thing to do, the thing that makes most sense to you. For example, listen to this.
That's the difference in Catholicism, why it didn't really make sense to me, because how could you be a human and God? Catholics believe that Jesus is God and God is God, but they're the same, like Father, Son. It's like this weird... that doesn't make any sense to me. But in Islam, the reason that I converted is Allah is the one true God. That's the one, that's the creator of the universe, the creator of everything. Jesus was there to spread his message. Muhammad was the prophet. and then we are all his people. We are all his creation. And that just makes the most sense to me. Because, like, what's the best explanation for why the world exists? There must be a creator. But instead of, like, a human half-body eating...
Yeah, that is a little confusing.
That's why I like it's just there's one creator.
As Muslims, we have the most logical understanding of God. Why? Because there's something called fitrah. Every single individual is born for the inclination to believe in one creator. Not 3 creators and 3 persons, or 1 creator and 3 persons. No one believes that. This is confusion. This does not make sense. Christianity, wait, let me finish. I don't believe a justful God would prescribe something that does not make any sense to believe in. Allah is the most merciful, He's the most knowledgeable, and He's the most wise. He would only make us believe in something that makes sense.
Did you catch that?
He would only make us believe in something that makes sense.
A lot of atheists say, well, I tried to reach God with my mind, I thought about it honestly, and I just couldn't be convinced. I can't force myself to believe something that doesn't make sense to me. We as Muslims say that's not possible, because God is merciful. And if God is gonna punish you for not believing in Him cannot be against your nature. If it's impossible for you to understand the concept of God and believe in God, if you tried your best and just couldn't do it, then it would be unjust from God to punish you for that. The same thing goes for people who disbelieve in Islam. Anyone who is honest will understand that Islam is the message of God. But there are a million other things that people factor in, like the fact that Islam wouldn't allow you to live the life that you want. If you want to drink, if you want to experience carnal desires, none of that is allowed in Islam. You have to pray, you have to fast. Also, if you live in a specific community, you will be ostracized. You'll probably be attacked. All these things push people away from Islam. But no honest person would look at the concept of God in Islam and the concept of the Trinity and then say, yes, the Trinity makes more sense.
قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. All the messengers of the past, Abraham, Noah, Isa, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they all came with the same message: is to worship Allah and do not do idol worship. And that's why, alhamdulillah, us Muslims follow that. Unfortunately, many Christians are worshipping a baby as God. A baby that eats food. A baby became God.
That's why people want to attack Islam go for the minor stuff like Muslim behavior. Well, if you want to criticize Christianity, you go for the concept of God. These main things, and these things in Islam are perfect. You can't criticize Islam on any fundamental level. You have to go into the details to find something that could be misrepresented. Now, pay attention to the next guy because he's saying something very important.
You know what I was thinking about, ladies and gentlemen, in the black community, the majority of black people say that they're Christian. And we know saying that you're Christian and everything with Christianity and how it was fed to us even during slavery taught us to be docile, taught us to, we'll have a better life in the sweet by and by. We need to turn the other cheek. But I thought, what if the majority of black Americans was Islamic? Because when you look at Islam, they don't believe in all that turn the other cheek. They believe in the law of retaliation. They believe in keeping their family structure real tight and together. Like, if you look into the principles of Islam, they have a very, very strict code about family and sticking together and whatever. I think if I had a choice to say what religion all black Americans would be, I say black Americans should have been Islam.
That would have accelerated the civil rights movement by a lot. And Muslims have been part and parcel of it. Obviously, Malcolm X is the name that comes to everybody's mind, but there were a lot of other people who were motivated by Islam to be free. It was their nature and their religion. It's inconceivable in Islam to use the Quran to justify enslaving people or even accepting to be enslaved.
I literally just started reading the Quran out of curiosity, and now I'm hooked. Literally, I started reading it because I was so curious about what is this faith that the Palestinian people have. It's something so deep and so profound that I was just drawn to learn more about Islam.
It's important for non-Muslims listening to this to understand that this is not a rare thing to happen. It's just highlighted now because of the Palestine thing. So everybody's talking about it. It's all over TikTok. Also Megan Rice and her whole journey to Islam thing. So it's trending online, but before that, it was trending in real life. Anybody who reads the Quran feels like it resonates with him or her, since more women convert to Islam than men. But I would say this, anyone with pure nature, someone who hasn't been corrupted and propagandized, will feel the same. It's impossible not to, because you were created to worship God according to Islam. That's why you were created in the first place. And you've been doing other things since birth till the moment you read the Quran. And it's like a eureka moment. Like, oh, I understand that. Now everything makes sense. Because again, your creator is the creator of Islam. There is a famous saying attributed to George Orwell, and it goes like this: the best books are the ones that tell you what you already knew, meaning they organize your thoughts and make you connect with yourself on a deeper level. It's like I knew this already, I just wasn't sure. The epitome of that feeling is the feeling you get when you read the Quran, and there are literally hundreds of thousands of testimonies proving that. If you have made it to this part of the video, we thank you very much. We were thrilled by the success of the first reaction video and we want to keep the momentum going. So please subscribe and leave a like, and thank you again.